From the get-go, Scream 6 seemed to be promising an installment of the franchise that was unlike anything we'd ever seen before, even featuring New York, new rules on the promotional material. And for the most part, directors Matt Betillini-Olpin and Tyler Gillet delivered on this promise, with their film featuring an angrier and more violent Ghostface than any of the previous iterations, who even broke the unwritten rule that Ghostface never uses a gun whilst in costume. Something the internet didn't hesitate in having an opinion about. But there was one particular aspect of the story that the directors kinda dropped the ball on: the identity of the killer, and specifically the fact that it wasn't Gale Weathers. Now, before I break down exactly why they failed in this aspect, it should be noted that this video will contain spoilers for both Scream 5 and Scream 6, so if you haven't seen those movies, pause this video, go watch them, and then come back later. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like and subscribe to the channel for more movie content. Scream 6 features the return of our protagonist Sam from Scream 5, along with her sister Tara and their friends Mindy and Chad, who now make up the group known affectionately as the Core 4. Alongside a few new characters who will either make up the film's suspect list or body count, as Mindy puts it, the group now resides in New York, where Tara is studying college and Sam is doing her best to protect her from anything and everything. And it doesn't take long, of course, before the bodies start to drop, and the group find themselves once again being hunted by another lunatic donning the iconic Ghostface mask. Along the way, we also encounter the film's legacy characters in Kirby Reed and, of course, Gale Weathers. To cut the longest story in the franchise's history short, the third act reveals the killer to have 3 identities, which was a first in Scream lore. Detective Bailey, the father of Scream 5's antagonist Richie Kirsch, as well as Richie's siblings Ethan Landry and Quinn Bailey. Essentially, these 3 are a little bit miffed that Sam just went to town on Richie with a knife, which sounds a little bit familiar. This brings us on to the first point as to why this reveal was such a letdown. We've seen it all before. If we turn back the clocks to Scream 2, we'll remember that the killer of that film was revealed to be Nancy Loomis, the mildly annoyed mother of the first film's antagonist, Billy Loomis. Not only that, but the first Scream film and the 5th Scream film also share a similarity in killers, with both Richie and Billy being the love interest of the film's main protagonist, before being revealed as the bad guy who was actually teaming up with their real love interest, making this the second movie in a row to feature the same reveal as a franchise predecessor. For a film that heavily promised new rules, it didn't exactly deliver anything new in this department. And yes, Stu is the real love interest of Billy Loomis, don't at me. Now, it is worth noting that this reveal does work in serving the movie's satirical theme that we've come to expect from the Scream franchise. Scream 1 commented on society's relationship and reactions to horror movies. Scream 2 took aim at the disappointing nature of sequels. The third film talked about Hollywood's relationship with sex and violence in a fairly scathing format. The reboot of the 4th film depicted society's fame-hungry state, and the 5th film featured a slam on the toxic fandoms of movie franchises. Scream 6, meanwhile, seems to take aim at the internet's ability to demonize other people, creating false narratives to present a desired image of a person despite whatever the truth may be, as evident through the monologue delivered by the terrific trio and their efforts to present Sam as the real Woodsboro killer throughout the movie. And yes, the film does hone in on this issue and offer its own commentary on it, but it could have been so much better had they switched the killer out to be fan favorite legacy character Gale Weathers. And for a minute while I was watching the movie, I was actually convinced that that was the path that the directors had chosen to follow. The film featured 3 key moments that seemed to point towards Gale being behind the Ghostface mask, before this idea was kind of vetoed by the real Ghostface attempting to stab Gale in the eye. Talk about a buzzkill. Let's start with the opening sequence. The first 10 minutes of this movie feature some of the best moments of the Scream franchise, as we follow an unmasked Ghostface killer as they slowly head to their own demise at the hands of another Ghostface. But it's the final line before the iconic slash that I want to talk about here.
Who gives a f about movies?
This was a really fun line to hear when I was first watching the movie, and I got even more excited about it when we were reintroduced to the now once again news reporter, Gale. During a conversation with Sam and Tara in which they are annoyed at Gale for writing a book about the ordeal they went through in Woodsboro, surprise surprise, Gale reveals that she had attempted to sell the rights to her book, but no movie studio was interested in buying them. For me, it wasn't hard to make a connection between her distaste in this moment towards the movie studios and the previously said line of "who gives a fuck about movies." An author who recently failed to sell her book rights to a studio certainly wouldn't give a fuck about movies, that's for sure. The second clue came from the exact same conversation that our protagonists were having with Gale. As they're leaving, Tara turns back and scathingly retorts,
"Or maybe you're just afraid that without Ghostface in your life, you're gonna fade away."
Which, to be fair, is pretty on the money. We saw during Scream 4 that Gale was struggling to write about anything else other than the Woodsboro murders, and finds a new lease of life and energy when the Ghostface killings start back up again. With Dewey and Sidney now out of the picture, and Gale having re-experienced the height of fame after her newest book, it's entirely plausible that Gale would choose to create her own story to write about, rather than risk fading away into insignificance once again. Our third and final clue came during Mindy's staple monologue explaining what movie the group had found themselves in this time. After divulging a possible suspect list, the core four are also accused of being suspects by the rest of the characters, with the reasoning being,
what if the trauma you all went through caused one or more of you to snap?
Yeah, or the fame you got from the killings made you thirsty for more.
Now, I've already mentioned how Gale's thirst for fame could have driven her over the edge, but let's not forget about the devastating heartbreak that she went through in Scream 5, when her on-again, off-again love interest in Dewey finally met his demise at the hands of Ghostface. Dewey was regularly depicted as Gale's anchor to reality, keeping her grounded and human rather than fame-hungry and narcissistic. Whilst the two were separated during the fifth movie, they had still built an undeniable love and chemistry throughout the franchise. So his death would have definitely hit her hard, potentially being the final nail in the proverbial coffin of her psyche. So we still have the initial question left to answer. Why should Gale have been Ghostface? And now that I can practically hear you typing away that this video has gone on too long without an answer, let's break down exactly why Gale being Ghostface would have improved the film overall. To do this, we have to understand exactly what type of film Scream 6 was supposed to be. As is the tradition with every Scream film, there will be a moment when a character sits the rest of the group down and excitedly explains what type of horror film they have found themselves in. And Scream 6 was no exception. As stated by Core 4 member Mindy,
"We're in a franchise!"
Mindy then states various rules that they should expect, some of which are followed during the film,
Beheadings?
Beheadings.
and some of which are not. But it's this quote that I find the most interest in.
Franchises are just continuing episodic installments designed to boost an IP.
Another way of saying this is that a franchise features an IP, an intellectual property, usually a character, that the studio behind the movie have identified as a successful cash cow that they can continue milking for more and more money. I'm sure you can think of at least one other IP that would fit the mold here. It's widely known that the Scream films will often comment on the type of movies that the characters are in, as well as the chosen theme, which I mentioned earlier in this video. Well, I think the filmmakers really missed an opportunity to do that with this film. Franchises have been frequently criticized for being nothing more than cash grabs, with each increasing number at the end of a movie title representing a drop in quality in comparison to the original film. Movie studios will revive and reprise characters in order to make more movies and sell more tickets. We can see a similarity to this in the second clue that I mentioned earlier. Tara stated that without Ghostface, Gale would fade away into nothing, and it's well established that the Ghostface stories and books have been the main source of Gale's income and fame. She frequently profited off the Ghostface killings, and likely became accustomed to doing so. And just in case I'm not making this crystal clear, Gale equals the movie studios. She would have made the decision to revive the character of Ghostface in order to continue her career, and Ghosty's angrier and more violent tone in this film could have been explained by Gale striving for an even bolder, bigger and bloodier story than she's ever told before. The film's original theme of the internet's ability to demonize someone could have also been kept, as it's stated that in her latest book, Gale describes Sam as
Unstable and a born killer.
hinting that Gale could have been the person behind the rumors about Sam being the real Woodsboro murderer, essentially setting her up to take the fall so that Gale could get off scot-free and go and write her book. This decision would have resulted in a scathing remark about Hollywood's habit of just looking for a cash grab anywhere they can, especially through franchises, whilst also delivering on an unexpected twist that we haven't seen before in the Scream franchise history. Instead, we got a generic reveal that we've already seen in Scream 2. Ironically, despite Ghostface being more angry and violent than ever before, the filmmakers couldn't seem to match that energy and actually deliver on any shocking or unexpected character arcs. But what do you think? Do you think Gale would have made a better killer than the 3 we actually got in the movie? Or do you think that maybe Gale wouldn't have actually had the backbone to carry out something like this? Let me know down in the comments, and of course leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more movie content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.